And now it's time for the nonfiction wrap-up. The WAROD is coming to you on Friday, April the 17th. This is another thing that did not get recorded properly when we were doing our Zoom meeting. Nice to see 21 students there. But let's see what we have to do to get prepared for this. Okay, to be prepared, choose a good topic. You can get ideas from your friends. The science textbook is always great. It's linked right in this slide, which I showed you. The social studies textbook is also linked in this slide, so you can use either one of those sources. Pre-read the source and two related sources. Now, by related sources, we did talk about in the Zoom meeting that perhaps if you did science, for example, you might be reading about what you can do to save the environment. There are tons of websites on how to save the environment. Read the textbook, for example. Read another one about how to save the environment. Write a summary on them. And you've already done something that's going to be in your reading. Social studies, history, maybe read about the Boston Tea Party. Go to the internet and read about a Boston Tea Party. You could read it from the textbook and the internet. They're going to be slightly different, and of course they're going to be a lot the same, and you can do a lot with them. And then understand ways to respond to nonfictions. Write some notes for each of these, and I linked a prep sheet in this, which I'm also going to share with you if I didn't already. Anyway, I could just pop it up right here. It didn't come up. Okay, it's linked at the bottom here. Anyway, word breakdown. Here's what your test is going to look like. You're going to choose one word from any one of your sources, and then you're going to break it down in at least two different categories. You can see if it has a base word. Not all words have base word. What do you picture? Is it a positive or negative word? Explain why. What type of word? Noun, verb, adjective, adverb. You just have to do two of these things, and you've done it. 2 out of the 4. Good. Next one. Lens into history. Again, social studies textbook, people, geography, timeline. We talked about the people, who's got the power, why is the setting important. Explain it as much as possible about that. Next one, synthesizing across subtext. In this one, again, we're talking about when you choose 2 sources that are related, that's 4, but 2 sources that are related. Say, for example, you do the Boston Tea Party, and then you look up an internet source. Well, you could just write a summary about each one of them. There might be very similar. Hopefully you find some differences. And that is synthesizing across subtext. Just to show you looked at one source, you looked at another, summarize them. Okay? Next one, the ladder of abstraction. This is when your own ideas come into your writing. Now, if you would have chosen the Boston Tea Party, that's a form of protest. Maybe you can think of a time in your life when you protested. For example, your mom says clean the room, and you say, I don't want to clean the room, so I'm not going to eat dinner or whatever. That's your own form of a Boston Tea Party. Throw it in there. Throw your opinions, your ideas in there, and just anything that you think about for writing that involves you or one of your life experiences, and make a connection there. Next, compare and contrast. Now, when you look at those 2 sources, again, you can compare them in so many different ways. Author techniques, the date that they're written, what they actually say. So if you had things on the Boston Tea Party, your textbook, what author techniques did your textbook author do that maybe the internet did not do? And you could talk about that. You could also talk about the date it was written and what do they actually say, compare and contrast how they look. Compare means kind of how they're the same. Contrast means how they're different. Author techniques. And again, that's linked. And there's about 57 author techniques. You can talk about anyway, there's 57. Look at them. How it makes the reading more interesting, easier to understand, or the opposite. You could say the author technique makes it more confusing and difficult to understand. But you're going to have to choose 2 of them and explain how they help the writing or maybe how they hinder the writing. And then make sure you list your sources. And then as one of the students asked in the Zoom meeting, how will this be done? I will be sending you something very similar to what your science looks like, but it's going to be more like you're going to have to make a copy and then you're going to have to share it with me. For some reason, more students respond to that than Google Classroom. I know Mr. Duck's having the same problems with Google Classroom. Many students just look at his email and then they ignore it or they don't know what to do with it. So it's going to be coming via a Google document where you have to make a copy and send it to me. It's going to have these subtitles written for you, so lucky, right? All you got to do is type in under the subtitles. And if you have any questions about it, it's going to come on Friday, April the 17th, about 10:30, and it's going to be due, and I'm going to be marking them Tuesday morning. If you can't get it done by Tuesday morning, it'll be your responsibility to email me and tell me why, and then we'll work out how we can do an extension and get that. But after Wednesday, for sure, next week, it's going to be a 0. And you can't get a 0 on this and hope to go to grade 6. It must be done. Okay?